Ready?
G'day everyone, welcome to Flock, an old man squad sports network podcast. We're getting there with that coming rolling off the tongue. Another guest today, joined by the fantastic Justin Napoli, all the way from Pro Pels Talk. Justin, welcome mate, good to have you on the show. How's things?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on, Lyle. Always good to chop it up with you, man. So I'm excited. I'm always excited to talk Pelicans basketball, as crazy as that sounds, but love what you've done with the podcast. Love the guests you have on. So I'm really excited and lucky to be a part of this show.
Mate, the pleasure is all mine. We're really grateful that you can take the time out of your evening to come and have a chat. I know we're trying to get the time zones to work, but when you're on the other side of the world, sometimes a little bit
It's
tricky.
crazy to see that you're in the morning right now and I'm literally in the evening. So it's a little bit of adjustment. It's pretty insane.
Honestly, it is. And yeah, chatting about the Olympics and the like, which are on at the moment, and trying to work out what time and who's watching what and what's going on. It's
right.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, how are you going, mate? We're talking Pels. How's Pro Pels Talk going? I know you guys have been flat tack covering all things Pels. You having fun over there?
Oh yeah, it's great. The guys are great. Lito, Chris, Five, Ross, Chaz. They're all good, man. We're lucky to have a group like that, where it's a lot of different opinions, and some people don't like it, some people do, but all in all, man, like we love the team and we want to see them succeed. And I think what we're going to talk about today is, what do you see? How can we be successful? How can you succeed in, especially the Western Conference? And Lyle, the one thing you talked about is, your first question was, what are we going to do at the center position? And I think that's everybody's first question. Some people talk about it's not that big of a deal. Some people are like, well, what are we going to do here and there? Obviously this Lauri Markkanen thing, I don't know. Obviously Christian's talked about it, but people are waiting on Lauri Markkanen. There's been reports saying today that he doesn't want to be traded. He wants to sign the extension, stay in Utah. And obviously, I don't think he's going to sign August 6th. So what he's going to do is wait a day, sign August 7th, meaning he can't be traded until whatever it is, February. And I think once you see that happen, maybe you see more dominoes fall. But, with Danny Ainge, he ain't going to lose a deal. So that's it's really going to be a fascinating 2 months.
And like you said, when you're dealing with Danny Ainge, what he originally said? Oh, you can have him for a first-round pick. Or was that Walker Kessler? I don't know, one of them.
So allegedly, he wanted 2 first-round picks. Yeah. And it's funny you mention him, right? So Walker Kessler's obviously been mentioned. And look, he's coming off a down year, but he's on a great contract. We know what he could, if you bring Walker Kessler to New Orleans, what will that look like? Well, you'll have a rim protector, which Willie Green loves. You'll have a solid center. He'll do the dirty work. He'll clean the glass. He'll do all that stuff. How's his pairing with Zion? I don't know, but it's better than the options we have right now. Because we talk about Daniel Tice, and he's not starting center. Daniel Tice, this guy can't start 70 games at center. I mean, he's a great backup big. I'll take him all day as a backup big, but for him to be a starter, I don't know. Carlo Makovic, right? He's another topic we talked about. He had a decent summer league. He looks fine. He's definitely gotten better since last summer league, but can you really rely on him, a rookie, to fill those minutes at JV and Larry Nance had? That's also a question mark. Then you have the rookie in Yves Missy, who, we were talking before we started, Lyle, but I don't think he's ready just yet. His future's bright, but we're trying to win now. The window's now. The time is now. Zion, he's in his second contract. He's on his second year of the new deal. What are you going to do with Brandon Ingram? You got DeJounte Murray in. CJ McCollum, only has a couple of years left on his deal. The time is now. And so when people say Yves Missy, I'm not saying he won't be a good player. I just know that he isn't ready right now. And I think he would benefit more playing in the G League. As you said before we got on the show, Lyle, he's only been playing for 4 years. So, he needs to play as much as possible. I don't think him being up with the NBA team and practicing they don't really practice much in season. And how much can you learn, right? I think by all means, I think by playing and getting as much minutes as possible in the G League will help his development. But I mean, look, right now though, and you also brought back Trey Jemison.
Yeah, exactly.
Trey Jemison's back. So, those are the four guys you're looking at right now. And then you mentioned Walker Kessler, and you're like, oh, Walker Kessler's better than all four of those guys. You take them all day. Daniel Tice is your backup big, and then you can like start playing small ball and throwing different lineups out there. But right now, currently constructed, I'm really nervous about the center group. It's definitely by far the worst group position in the league, for sure.
Yeah, and I think when you're in a division that has big centers, the league is just getting taller, and we've sort of lent into, Daniel Tice at 6'8", 6'9", Yves Missy, who, he's a big guy, but again, he's so green. Trey Jemison, I mean, gosh, man, mountain, but again, green, brand new to the league.
He's played 20 games in the league. Like, he's only played 20 games. So out of those three guys you mentioned, Carlo, Missy, and Jemison, they've played a total of 20 games in the NBA. And you're talking about the Western Conference of, you got your Jokic and Kat and Gobert and
Wembanyama,
and you have JJJ, and now you have Edie. Like, the list goes on. And so, obviously you go with Portland and DeAndre Ayton. Does Golden State doesn't really necessarily have a center. I mean, they have Looney, but he's not really terrifying. But those top 4 or 5, and then especially in your division, Lyle, like, they have this. Your division's serious in center, so
it's tough.
I really think you got to make a move for a center. You have to, in my opinion. I don't think you can start the season with this group. Yeah, like that. And so I think that August 6th, once that passes, I think you'll start seeing a little bit more movement.
Yeah, I suppose then you can see where, I suppose, like you said, the dominoes will fall, and you'll be able to see who's eligible, who's serious about wanting to stay, and what teams are serious about keeping their players, right? Because you don't want someone to sign later than August 6th if you plan on moving them anytime before, right before the deadline.
Right.
Going to be interesting, to say the least. I don't know what they can do here. I mean, you start the offseason with a big fish, right? You go and get DeJounte Murray. Everyone's like, hang on, this is, Griff said, it's not the offseason for complacency. And of course, we're only midway through the offseason, right? It's still plenty of time. People are distracted with the Olympics. There's stuff going on. Only just had Summer League. But you sort of want to get moving soon. And no doubt, like, I'm not in the room. I don't know what they're doing. But you just don't want to let the team off the hook by saying, oh, we tried another position by committee, right? Oh, we got DeJounte, and if that doesn't work, we can point to this saying, oh, well, perhaps, the deal wasn't there. How do we plug that gap without making a move? I don't think it is. And I mean, I suppose that moves to Brandon Ingram. Is he the piece de resistance as part of this?
I mean, look, that's the elephant in the room, right? Like, I think you nailed it on the head right there. But Griff crushed the DeJounte Murray trade. Yeah. Like, everyone was like on board. We had a bunch of momentum right there. And everyone was shocked that Brandon Ingram was not involved in the deal. And later I found out that Atlanta didn't even want him. And so you're like, okay, you got DeJounte for, shout out Dyson, Nance, and a couple first rounders, right? Okay, I think you win that deal. You get an all-star, you get a point guard, a lead guard for Zion. You keep Brandon Ingram, and now you're thinking, okay, well, now we got Brandon Ingram as a trade chip. We can move him out for even more assets, a center, whatever it may be. And it just stopped. And it was just, there was just no movement for, a month and a half. But you're also right. I'm glad you pointed this out. We're still only halfway through the off season, but as a fan, like, you just want things to happen, right? You're just itching for something to happen. And you make a really good point, is that this still isn't over. This still might not even be the final roster, but the question is, what are they going to do with Brandon Ingram? And we talked about this before we got on the show. I don't think, like, whatever you do, either you sign him, extend him, or you trade him, but you can't let him go into the year not under contract, right? And so I think that's a disaster for both teams. Now, will Brandon Ingram accept a lesser, less years and less money? I don't know. Obviously, his camp is saying that he wants the max, and you're seeing deals around the league, and I'm sure Brandon Ingram's camp's like, well, we're better than that guy. We're better than that guy. We're better than that guy. And look, Brandon Ingram's a really good player. And I think I think we're losing a lot of this in the conversation.
Great.
Like, Brandon Ingram is a really good basketball player. And I've just seen the fit between him, Zion, and CJ. It doesn't work. I don't know what to tell you. Like, you saw it this year. They were net negative. Then the injuries play a role. Zion's not available sometimes. Brand's not available sometimes. It just hasn't worked. And it's okay to admit that. But maybe it's either time to move on, or maybe sign him to a lesser deal that's more team friendly. You build up back his value. Maybe he buys in more. Maybe he shoots more threes. And then you build up his value again. But to go into this season on a contract year and not even have a deal done, I think that's worst case scenario for both sides, right? Because also Brandon, like, I don't think it's I really don't. I mean, it's pretty known. Like, his value is low right now.
Yeah.
Like, no teams want him. No teams want to pay him $50+ million. A lot of teams have talked about it, and it's just the reality of the situation, right? And so, the Pelicans and Griffin especially have a tough decision to make, but a decision needs to be made.
Yeah,
that's the thing. A decision needs to be made. There's still holes on this roster where, and Lyle, like, look 1 through 7 on this roster, the Pelicans roster. Like, God, this is some serious talent. Like, talk about DeJounte, CJ, Trey, Herb, Zion, Brandon. I feel like I'm forgetting another. Jose. Obviously Hawkins can get out there. Like, you got a lot of guys, a lot of talent, but do they fit? And I think that's the biggest question. And I've seen it, and we've all seen it. I don't think they do. And so I think another move needs to be made. Because here's my thing, like, we've been talking about this ad nauseum for a month and a half. Who's your starting 5?
Yeah.
Like, you're going to pay Trey Murphy, right? Like, you want to pay Trey Murphy. Well, does he want to? This would be his 4th year off the bench, right? Herb Jones, he's an all NBA defender. You going to bench him? Are you going to bench CJ McCollum? I mean, a lot of people are like, yeah, bench CJ. Like, okay, well, he shot 42% last year from deep. Had one of his best shooting careers, and you just want to bench him? Okay, he's making $30 million.
Paid $30 million.
And then people are like, well, bench Brandon. It's like, well, bench Brandon. Wait, you want to bench Brandon and CJ and have $65 million coming off the bench? Yeah. So there's just so many questions. And then, what are you going to start Tice? Okay, start Tice at the 5. See how that goes. So
you thought you were getting killed in the first quarters this year.
right. Yeah, right. We got off to a lot of slow starts. But it just begs the question. It's like, what are they going to do? And you had all that momentum after the DeJounte trade, and just it stopped. And you still need a backup wing. You still need a starting center. And so, obviously I've seen Jordan Hawkins' name maybe be in trade rumors. So we'll see about that as well, which would suck, right? Because he's an interesting player, because I think he can be really special, especially offensively. Defensively, obviously, I don't think he'll be anything. But offensively, man, he can shoot the basketball. He's a high IQ offensively. I just, you just haven't seen it on a consistent level. So he can't find any playing time.
And it's completely between his ears, right? Like, for him, he has the mentality to be an absolute winner. And you want players like that. You've got a player that is happy to do it. We watched him was it Denver up for 40 or near on 40. Yeah. As a rookie
against Dallas and Kyrie, he wins the Dallas game. I think he dropped like 34 against Kyrie, and Abdul's Kyrie Irving. So this is the Western Conference Championship. Like, he's got it. You've seen it, but you haven't seen it on a consistent level, right? And so, we talked about this, but you drafted Antonio Reeves, who was one of the best shooters in college basketball last year. Could he possibly be a replacement for Jordan Hawkins? Where, okay, we drafted Reeves, we can now use Jordan Hawkins to attach maybe to a Brandon Ingram deal to Utah to get a Kessler and maybe a Colin Sexton. I don't know. There's just, what I'm saying though here, Lyle, is like, when you made the DeJounte trade, you had a lot of teams that Brandon could have gone to. Now it's really narrowed down to Utah and maybe Portland, and that's it.
And it comes down to options salary, right?
Right. Like, your options. Yeah. Your options are very limited. And the reason why Utah comes up is, right, okay, so Laurie doesn't want to get traded. Okay, well, Ainge signs him. He's a good basketball player. He's got a really good relationship with the head coach. Maybe you build around Laurie. Does Brandon and Laurie make sense for Utah? Maybe. I don't know. But it's something I think the Pelicans and the Jazz will talk about after August 6th. Because Laurie could still get traded. He could still get traded before August 6th. But we're 7 days away. So we got a week.
Yeah, they got a big weekend on the tools trying to work out what they're going to be doing.
But I'll tell you, I like that DeJounte trade, man. I like what he said at the press conference. I like his leadership qualities. we've gotten in back and forth with some Hawk fans about how he's not a great defender and this and that. But look, you pair him up with Herb Jones, he'll want to play defense. I promise you. I promise you that. He's a lead point guard. Obviously, crunch time, we've really struggled over the last 3 or 4 years in crunch time. He's a guy that wants the basketball, can create his own shot, can get another guy to look like a Zion Williamson, a CJ McCollum, or a Trey Murphy, even a Brandon Ingram. So I really think he's going to unlock the offense. It still begs the question, who's starting, who's closing, and who's your starting center?
Yeah. And that is, the number of questions that we've got to run down the list that need to be answered. And I'm nervous or apprehensive, shall we say, to go into the season with so many question marks over so many things. And, with August 6th seems to be the date to be circled. Perhaps we get clarity by then or thereafter. The DeJounte trade, I think, like you said, you're absolutely nailed. You've used salary that you were happy to part with. The difficulty is that now your tradable salary pieces that you've got left are all either on minimums or on the salary matching just doesn't work. No one's got cap space. No one, can just absorb things. We don't. Right. So right. To bring a player of a higher caliber back, you've got to move salary for salary. And
right.
It makes it really difficult in this situation where you've swung for the fences with DeJounte and sort of left a hole behind.
I'll tell you this. One move that Griff really failed at, no one really talks about, is the Devontae Graham trade for Josh Richardson. I think Graham was making like $12 or $13 million. Is really good, movable salaries you're talking about. We had to trade Graham and also attach 4 second-round picks to get Josh Richardson, who played here for 3 months, didn't win you a playoff series. Shit, we didn't get out of the play-in game.
Yeah.
And, now you're stuck with, as you just said, like, okay, so you move Larry, you move Dyson. Now what? Right? You have a bunch of $30 million players and a bunch of, $5 million and less. And that's hard to make. I'm glad you brought that up because it's hard to make match salary with that kind of stuff.
You've got to find the right pieces. You've also got to find people that want to take those players back.
Right? So do an example. So, okay, let's trade for Walker Kessler. Brandon Ingram's involved. Okay, that's 34
or something, 35 million.
Yeah, so you gotta look it up right now. Walker Kessler. I mean, it's like $2 million, I think.
Yeah,
so Kessler's making $3.3 million this year. Okay, so you're gonna trade Brandon Ingram. I'm sorry, he's making $2.9 million this year. So you're gonna need another player in that deal, right? Well,
what do they got?
Exactly. Okay, so like you get the match salary. So the other one would have to be, to make sense, it would have to be Colin Sexton, right? So he makes 4 years, 70 mil. So that's another. I'm trying to pull this up right now. So he's making 18 mil this year. That still doesn't get you.
Yeah, still got to add more.
Exactly. You see where this gets very complicated. It gets pretty complicated. So, you might have to. I really don't know. I have to look at the Jazz roster now and think about it.
And that also means that New Orleans has to take that salary back and also pay those players, right? They're here. Are you giving up Brandon, who's on expiring, that, we don't ever want him just to walk? That I think is the worst outcome. But are you willing to fill that salary with guys that you're not that keen on just for salary matching? You're then tied to Colin Sexton for 4 years. Makes it a little bit tricky. Yeah.
So the one guy that does make sense, John Collins, makes $26.5 million. So, you could, instead of Kessler, you go Collins, and I think you probably need, you still probably need a Sexton, a Clarkson. Like, no one wants Jordan Clarkson, 32 million, 32 years old and a $14 million contract. So there's a lot of math involved in this too. So it's going to be really interesting to watch.
And what's going to be interesting as well is, do you remember last time the salaries exploded and Mike Conley signed the biggest deal of all time? It was about $150 million.
Yeah.
Context in this matters, right? Because now that $150 million is now $300 million. or 250 million or whatever it is that Brandon will be getting. Do we then, when the salaries explode again, say, shit, we should have got him for 50 million? Do you know what I mean? Because now you can't get players of that. I know, but right now it's difficult. But then down the line, you're looking at guys saying, geez, he's now a $75 million player, which is disgusting numbers, and I feel sick talking about the amount of money they're getting a year.
Same.
But do you get what I mean?
No, it's a good point. And, me and Lito actually had this discussion. You made up a really good point, is like, I almost think that it could be beneficial for Brandon to take a 2-year extension, because as you said, that money explodes, right? Well, does he want to lock himself into a $50 million deal? And maybe like he could possibly, if he literally has a good year, signs a 2-year extension, has a great year, builds up his value, then signs a super max when that money explodes, he's making more money as well. So, Lito and I talked about, like, what if he just signed, a 2-year extension for $65-70 million? You get 2 more years, you get $35 million a year, and then you rebuild your what you are and what we've seen. Like Chris, Connor, and Lito did a great little film breakdown on Brandon about the way he played in like 2021, and it's just so eye-opening to watch him play with speed and shooting threes and attacking the rim. And now you were okay with the difficult shots he took because he was attacking the rim. He was getting the free throw line. He was shooting threes. He was being a 3-level scorer. Now he's taking way less threes, and he's still taking the tough shots. And he's also not getting the line really much. And he's also not attacking. Yeah. He's not playing fast. He's dribbling a lot. So, watching that and just seeing the difference of 3 years is like, we watched him against Phoenix in that, great playoff series, and playing. He was unbelievable. We're like, wow, this is the guy. I have not seen that guy in a couple of years.
There was debates. Who do we pick? Who do you build around, right? You're like, we need to move off Zion. And all of a sudden he has this year that even he's admitted was a down year for him. Was he utilized the best? I don't know. But it also comes for him. You have to choose the shots that you're going to take. And if you're going to get yourself going by taking 3 to 4 contested mid-ranges instead of a couple of layups and then work your way out that you've done the rest of your career, it makes it really tricky. And maybe that's because the ball's not in his hands. He says, well, I have to get mine when it's coming. And when there's a lot of mouths to feed, I don't know.
Wow, you bring up such a good point. Because now you add DeJounte Murray in. He's also a 20-point per game scorer. So there's one basketball.
Yeah.
There's one basketball. You got 4 dudes who average 20 a night. So someone's going to take a hit.
Yeah. Who's averaging 14? Who's going to average 14?
So, are you going to take the ball out of Zion Williamson's hands? No. Are you going to take it out? You saw when you took the ball out of Brandon's hands, like, he wasn't very effective. Are you going to take it out of CJ's hands? Well, I mean, he's a 43% shooter. So, like, he could be a spot up guy, but still, you want him getting his shots.
Yeah.
So once again, back to the fit. You have all this talent, but there's one basketball. So there's something else has to happen. Like, it just has to happen. There's no way.
None of them are off-ball guys. None of them. They all want the ball. And if you're not going to, if DeJounte isn't going to become a 15 assist a night guy with 10 points and 10 rebounds, we saw it, Spurs, he's capable of doing that. But I don't know if he's that guy anymore. I don't think he wants to be that guy anymore.
You traded for, like, DeJounte is going to have the basketball. That's what you traded for. You needed a point guard. So he's got the basketball, right? So it's really, I'm telling you, the roster is extremely talented. I question the fit.
Yeah.
And I think that's fair. I think that's fair to say.
And I think Willie Green's got one of the hardest tasks in basketball to make this work.
I'm glad you mentioned Willie Green, because if I was Willie Green right now and I had this roster, I'd be upset, because I think it's destined to fail. Willie Green's got to figure it out, but how does he figure this out? He's got 2 he's got 2 max guys who are injury prone. I mean, look, Zion played 70 games. Great. He still hasn't played a playoff game.
Yeah, exactly.
Brandon Ingram was relatively healthy. Boom. Knee happens. Then he wasn't the same the rest of the year. It's always something with it. So now Willie Green's got to figure that out. He's got to implement a new point guard. Oh, and he also doesn't have a center.
Yeah. So set me some screens, please, to get me going.
Right. So Willie's got a really hard job this year, and not to mention he's going to be on the hot seat. So if he gets off to a bad start, it's almost unfair, because I really think the talent's there. There's no doubt about it. It's just the whole roster doesn't make sense right now.
Yeah. And that's not to discount how exciting it is to have this talent, right? Like you look at it on paper, you're like, this team is stacked. But then you have to look at it in a basketball sense, and anyone watching the Olympics has watched team basketball, and the feedback has been wonderful. And yes, that's what we watch all the time down here. The FIBA rules.
Right.
You need a bit more of that and defined roles. And, even Brandon said this year we relied on our talent too much. Well, okay, let's fix that by getting more talent.
I'm telling you, man, a lot of people don't listen to these press conferences. Like, people really need to hone in on these press conferences, because they say a lot. Yeah. They say a lot. Chaz has brought up that comment a lot, and so has Chris, but we relied a lot on talent. And it's like, well, you just got more talent. And now what?
Still got to work. And so, you don't just throw them all in the sandpit and say, hey, go and figure it out, right?
Exactly. That's not a plan. Hey, Lyle, if I could ask you this question, who would your start? Because this is, I think, a great debate. I don't think there's a wrong answer by any means, but who's your starting five?
I think based on what we've currently got, I mean, I have my ideal one, but I don't know. I think everyone would go for it. I think your starting five has to be DeJounte, CJ, still Herb. I think Herb has to go to the bench. It's Brandon, Zion, and then you do a raffle for whoever wants to go in at the starting
so you got Trey. So you got Trey and Herb on the bench.
Yeah, currently
coming off the bench. Yeah.
What I would like to see is Trey, because he's looking strong, play center, but I think he's just probably too slight.
I've been seeing that Trey can't play center for an NBA team right now. He's just not ready. But it begs the question. So you put Herb and Trey on the bench, which is fine. So you look at your starting five: DeJounte, CJ, Brandon, Zion, center. How much shooting do you have on that court right there?
Exactly. You're still log jammed, right?
So you're right. So your starting lineup with that, and look, I'm not saying your answer is wrong. I'm just throwing it out there. So that's why I was like, okay, I would like to put Trey in the starting lineup and get more shooting, right? Well, who would you sub out? The answer would probably be CJ. So you still don't have a lot of shooting, right?
And now you're massive. Like your wings are so big. So are you slow then? Like,
this is why I keep going back. Like, the starting lineup doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And like, Herb Jones did nothing wrong in order to be benched.
No.
Herb Jones, your
best year.
One of the best. Yeah. Well, he's coming off his best shooting year, an all NBA defender. He's one of the best corner three shooters in the league. Oh no, but you gotta go to the bench.
And he fills all of the holes on defense. Everything that we do wrong.
Everything. He's literally the Ed Reed of our defense. Like, he is truly incredible. So he's got to go to the bench. Yeah. Well, why does Trey? But you're going to pay Trey Murphy over $150 million. He's got to go to the bench. Like, but and then also Trey Murphy wants to start. It's pretty obvious and very clear. Are you trying to piss him off too? Are you, because you're trying to pay him, right? Well, hey, buddy, like, you got to go sit on the bench for the fourth straight year. Yeah. It's like, these are the questions that like need to be asked, because none of it makes sense.
And the promise,
I'll tell you, Brandon ain't going to the bench. He ain't going to the bench. So,
and I don't think anything that he has done has warranted a demotion to that, right? Like, okay, he has
Brandon's a starting forward in the league. Like, it's ridiculous if you're like, he needs to come off the bench. I'm like, guys, like, he's a good basketball player. He's not gonna be coming off the bench. But your obvious answers, I think, are CJ, Herb, Trey. Go to the bench. Well, you got to pick two of them. Like, on the bench. A lot of people say, well, CJ and Trey. Okay, well, you start Herb. But then, once again with the shooting, your two best shooters are on the bench, and Zion needs space. So it's just so many questions.
And are you playing Zion the whole first quarter, and then he's gas him out for the start of the second because you want to bring the shooters in with him?
Right.
But then who are you sitting on the bench? Then what? The rotations are going to be bizarre. We're going to be spinning all season.
Right. And so you're going to be yelling, like, well, why is Willie playing this rotation? Why is he playing that? Well, what do you want him to do? And like, look, like, I don't think Willie's like, I think Willie is good in some aspects, but mostly not X's and O's and other things. But like, at the end of the day, and I've been thinking about this a long time, like, if we fail this year, it's not because of Willie Green. It's not.
No, I agree.
If we keep this roster construction, it's because of David Griffin in the front office. Like they have to, I get the talent and everything, but the talent also has to mesh. It has to work together. Clearly, this right now doesn't work. So something else has to shake out.
Yeah, it has to be. And I mean, I look forward to seeing it all sort of play out. And, it's one of those, this is what off-season talk is about, right? It's all, theorizing and analyzing what we have in front of us. I think everything that we're talking about, the front office knows, right? They're sitting there going, we need to tick these things off. And none of this is profound, right?
Wow, there's no doubt about the front. Like these guys are smart. They're intelligent. They know what they're talking about. There's just not a deal out there right now that they like. Exactly. It just is what it is. It's a team that's not going to go on the tax. There's no deal for Brandon. So are you going to have to attach a Jordan Hawkins? Are you going to have to attach another first rounder? What are you going to have to attach? Yeah. Of course, people are going to ask for Trey Murphy and Herb Jones. They're not going to go anywhere, but you're going to have to part with, you're going to have to attach something with Brandon, whether it be a first round pick, a couple of first round picks, or Jordan Hawkins in order to get some type of traction. Yeah. I guarantee you, man, the deals have to be horrific for Griff to be like, no, we got to hold on to Brandon. They have to be awful.
Mm.
Yeah, and I think you're going to hear once the season begins, you're going to hear more and more.
Yeah, and I mean, we circle right to the start with the Brandon stuff, and you just can't have no resolution going in, or there has to be, some agreement that they say we're going to go and deal with this, later on in the season, but we draw a line in it. We're going to be working towards a deal, or we're not. I think. Right. That has to be the case.
That has to be the case because the deals won't be great at the deadline, and then if you let them walk for nothing, that's a massive loss. So it's a tough decision, man. It's a really tough decision.
And I mean, forgive me if I'm wrong. I don't think if he leaves, that leaves us with heaps of cap space, right? We're still over the salary cap at the minute. So wouldn't that 30 million, I mean, I'm not a capologist by any means, but
you want Schmidt's very good at the cap stuff. There's some other people that are really good at the cap stuff. I have no idea about
it. Terrifies me to think that could be the case, that you're still in a poor situation just without anything. So, they've got all these new rules. I'm not across them by any means. They terrify me because it terrifies the front officers. So I'm like, people understand it, don't get it.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
So I suppose the question remains, what do you think with this current roster, where we end up? Are we a playoff team, play in? Are we missing everything? What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's a great question, right? So you got to think about the teams that are in the Western Conference. It's like people are forgetting about Memphis. Memphis is coming back fully healthy with John Morant, Desmond Bane. They get Edey, JJJ. They're going to be good. Obviously the Mavericks, the Nuggets, you got the Thunder. You got some really, really the Wolves. You got some really good teams, right? The Clippers will take a step back. Golden State, Lakers are okay. Portland, Houston. San Antonio, Houston. I think Houston will take a step up. Portland will be bad. San Antonio will be better, but they won't be great.
Kings are still around.
What's that? The Kings,
yeah.
The Kings get to, but we just own the Kings. I'm not even worried about the Kings. We just absolutely destroy them.
Yeah, we're gonna play everyone else too. That's the problem.
They're a good team. So you got a lot of good teams in the Western Conference. I say right now, currently constructed with Brandon on the team. I think you get 43 to 45 wins. Yeah. I think you're in the play-in. I you just rattled off those five. You're not better than the Mavericks. You're not better than the Nuggets. You're not better than the Wolves. You're not better than the Thunder. The Rockets will be interesting.
Kings will have
the Kings. They'll
win games.
That will be interesting. The Lakers, I always hate when we play the Lakers because we for some reason just can't beat them. Portland's a bad team, but Memphis, are you better than Memphis today? Healthy John Morant, that's a questionable. There's just if you really go down the list, I see them 7 through 10 again.
How bad do the Spurs say? They got Chris Paul.
The Spurs are interesting. They got Paul, Wemby, and Barnes. That's Sohan. They got some talent. They're not a bad team. So the Western Conference is loaded. There's only, and then you got Utah. What is Utah?
Utah as well. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like they're not like a really bad team. They're not like a Pistons or a Hornets. Like, like they're like like they're going to compete. So you got 9 or 10 teams right there
Yeah.
where you're like, okay, well, it's just really questionable, man. Like I think you're really gonna miss JV this year. I really do. I think fans are really like. I know there's hot and cold with JV. I mean, that guy showed up every single night, averaged a double-double, or basically could have averaged a double-double. I mean, rebounded the basketball, did all the dirty work, was dependable, team first guy, whatever role that Willie Green, the staff, asked of him to do, he did it. It's just, you're really going to miss that. And now you're going to have Carlo and Missy and Jemison pick up the slack, and Tice. Like if Tice is playing 30 minutes a night, there's a problem.
Yeah.
There's a major problem. So look, I still think they're a move or two away. But man, the start of the season is going to be interesting, right? Because also, Lyle, if the Pelicans get off to a bad start, say 10-15, 12-20, is the change going to happen at the head coach position? Like that,
someone's going to get in strife, right? Like someone there has to be some sort of fall guy or accountability. It's just a reality of it. You can't.
And the fall guy is always a head coach. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be.
Griff's not going to fire himself.
Right. And like, I don't think this is going to be Willie Green's fault. Like, look, I said this before in the show, but like, I have my complaints about Willie, but he gets guys playing defensively. He usually gets guys to show up and play every single night. Like, he's really good at that kind of stuff, but his X's and O's, his game managing is questionable. Will he get better there? And then also, like, I truly laugh at some of the people that are saying, well, center position is not a big deal. Like Trey Murphy, like I just can't expect Trey Murphy, even Zion. I can't expect Trey Murphy, Zion, sometimes Herb plays center. Like, it's just also not fair to them. They're not used to doing that.
Massive guys, right? There's some massive people in this league.
But I can't, Lyle, I can't blame someone for like even you said like Trey, like, well, maybe we could do Trey at center. It's like, we're at that point now where it's like, you gotta, like, someone's got to play center. Right? Someone's got to play it. So, I got 43 to 45 wins currently constructed, 7 through 10 seed. What about you?
Look, I mean, I think on talent alone, we're good enough, but then we've talked about, you've got to look from a top down approach, right? You need to see I need to see what it looks like first. And I need to see which player is willing to sacrifice. And I think that has to be the reality of it, is there can't be, you can't have 4 guys score 25 points a night. It's just not going to happen, right? I mean, you'd love it. And we talked about that when we had the big 3. You now got a big 4.
Right.
But there's got to be someone else who takes the hit. We have a look at those big 3s throughout history, the successful ones, right? We look at LeBron's, we look at, the Miami Heat ones, we look at, I don't know, the Knicks had one. Who else had one? Boston. There was a guy that just didn't. Cleveland again with LeBron. You've got a guy that has to take a back seat, and you have to be a guy that's willing to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I think CJ did that to a degree this year. I think he completely changed his game. But we also don't have guys that are going to be there for 82 games. So,
well, you bring up such a good point. Like, Brandon's in a contract year, clearly wants to get paid. Do you think he's going to take a back seat?
He's not scoring 14 points a game. He's not. He wants 20 shots.
Right? Like, he wants his points. He wants his shots. He wants his money. So, like, we're talking about, like, there's just levels to this. And it's just like, you got to think a little bit more outside of the boxes. Like, okay, oh man, you gotta make a decision on Brandon. Look, at this point, I don't even care if you extend him. I really don't. But you can't let him go into the year without a contract. Like, you just can't.
It doesn't work for anyone. It doesn't work for the team, and it also does a disservice to Brandon, because he's been such a loyal servant of the club. He's been there. He's played. All right. He come back from that knee that went backwards and started playing, and then was guarded. Like, that was awful. And you come back after 2 weeks. Or 2.5 weeks or whatever it was, and then you get guarded straight to the playoffs, right? Like, I wouldn't have performed my best either, to be fair. And he was the only option. So I will die on the hill for Brandon at times, because I think that that's what's missed in all of this, is that he's been a fantastic servant of the club. He's also been there, and and at times he's been asked to do everything.
Yeah.
And he's a great player. But at the same time, you need to do the best by him. And that's what I think. I count him up there with some of the best players that we've ever had. I just think.
Easily. Yeah. Brandon's easily up there. Like, there's no doubt about it. He's extremely talented, and it's not because I want to trade Brandon because he's a bad player. Like, it's not that. It's simply fit in a money situation. Like, people get this so twisted, Lyle. Like, oh, y'all hate Brandon. It's like, no.
I love Brandon. I love watching him.
I would love for y'all to ask, like, me and Lito's favorite player for like the last 3 years was Brandon until he just like changed his play style, and like I just didn't really necessarily love it.
Yeah.
He's a really good basketball player. A lot of teams would want him. A lot of teams do want him. They don't want him at the certain number that he's asking.
Exactly.
That's the situation going on.
If they could get him again at 35 million, people would be lining up for him. Like, people would be scrambling to pick the phone up.
Yes, but he wants 50 and then 52.
It's a lot of money.
54. It's a little bit more. And for a small market team that don't want to pay the tax, that's not going to work.
Expensive quick.
Yep.
But, I suppose that's the theme of the offseason is question mark. Justin, thank you for taking the time. Can you give a shout out to everything you've got going on, and then I'll give you your evening back. You can go back and watch the Olympics.
Yeah. No, Lyle, thanks for having me on, man. Yeah. You follow us at Pro Pels Talk. We go live every Sunday night on our YouTube channel. And then obviously, the gang with Chris Connor and Lito and Five and Chaz and Ross. So yeah, we're about 3 or 4 times a week now. We recap every single game once the season starts. So at Pro Pels Talk. But Lyle, appreciate you having me on, man. I love that you're back podcast. I always love talking hoops with you, man. And so you're always welcome on our show. Whenever you want to come on, you let me know. We'd love to have you on.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, mate. Guys, this has been Flock, an Old Man Squad Sports Network presentation. I'm your host, Lyle Swithenbank, joined by Justin Napoli for a Pro Pels Talk. You can follow us on Twitter. Make sure you go and do all of your subscribing and all of that you can do on all the different podcast apps. We'll be back live and free as always. Bye for now.
Ready?